Hello everyone and welcome to episode 85 of Generation GC, Ghost of You from the Chronicles of Life and Death, Good Charlotte's third album released in 2004, with my guest, Simón Trespalacios. My name is Molly Hudelson once again, and as always, I'm your host as well as the producer, creator, and editor of this podcast. And wow, it feels so good to be back! I last released episodes of Generation GC, the two-part episode on Hold On, back in December. It's March now as you're listening to this, and I'm so happy to be sharing these new episodes with you. I've spent the past several weeks recording a few new episodes, and I am so excited to be sharing this next batch of episodes with you. You'll hear a new episode every week for 6 weeks in a row. Then I'm going to go back and record about 6 more episodes. Then you'll hear those episodes for 6 weeks straight. Then more hibernation and recording. I hope that makes sense, but I'll keep it updated on the socials, and you'll see on the socials when to expect new episodes. As I previously said, last time, at the end of 2021, we talked about Hold On from The Young and the Hopeless, and on our next episode, we'll be talking about a song from Good Morning Revival. Simón Trespalacios is a musician and academically trained composer and arranger, and self-taught producer from Always Summer, Cartagena, Colombia. He has congenital amusia and vocal confrontation, and he managed to finish music college. Simón discovered GC when he was 7 or 8, maybe even 6 years old, so he was pretty young. I had so much fun talking to Simón on this episode. This song, definitely can get pretty serious, but the reviews and all the dialogue around it, there was just a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun to be had in our discussion, and I think you're going to like listening to this. I also want to say that I love having guests from all around the world and from all different backgrounds on Generation GC. While Simón is not our first guest from South America, he is our first guest coming from Colombia, which is so cool. In 2022, I'd really love to see as many countries as possible represented on this show. If English isn't your first language, that's okay. As long as you're comfortable holding a conversation in English, you're good to go. And in addition to, location in different countries, I really want to make sure that I'm just sharing a variety of different backgrounds on Generation GC. That means folks of different gender and sexualities, fans of different ages, fans with their own unique life experiences of any sort. It is my goal for everyone listening to this show to feel like they are represented. So if you're listening to this show and, you think you might make a great guest, hey, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I also want to continue mentioning blacklivesmatters.card.co, antisemitism.card.co, and anti-Asian-violence-resources.card.co. Those will all be linked in the show notes, and I just think it's really important to keep educating ourselves and stay up to date on what's going on in the world. Finally, Generation GC stickers are here. If you do want a sticker, there's 2 things you can do. Number 1, support the show on Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/generationgcpod and click support. All of that money goes right back into helping make the show the best that it can be. It helps me buy new equipment for the show, such as laptop riser, notebooks. I take notes on paper and pen sometimes, hard drives to back everything up, headphones, etc. It also helps me print and ship these stickers. Number 2, you can make a charitable donation. When I was discussing this with Simón, he mentioned the importance of accessible mental health care for low-income individuals. I talk about mental health and the importance of recognizing that and reaching out and getting treatment, but something we have to add to that conversation is that reaching out isn't always enough. In the US, many people are either uninsured or underinsured, and many providers either have a long waiting list or some of them don't even take insurance. I learned that recently and I was shocked. In countries that have universal health care, oftentimes people face long waiting lists or providers that only want to take, private insurance that not everyone has access to or can't afford. And this is not even to mention that in some areas, regardless of insurance, resources are hard to come by. Not to mention, navigating this system is not always easy or straightforward. It's not always clear who you have to call, when you should call them, or what information you need to get an appointment to get treatment. Talk therapy and medication, as well as behavioral and lifestyle interventions, can make a world of difference, but they have to be accessible. With all that being said, today I'm going to ask you to donate to the American Psychoanalytic Institute. They have a whole list of low-fee clinics on their website at apsa.org. I'll link that in the show notes. And if you'd like to donate, you can visit apsagiving.org and donate. And that just helps continue to fund all of this. So you're going to support the show on Anchor, or you're going to donate to the American Psychoanalytic Institute. So you're going to send me a screenshot of either your support of the show on Anchor or your charitable donation, as well as your mailing address, and I will send you some stickers. Easy as that, right? Pretty cool. You can also keep up with Generation GC at Generation GC Pod, P-O-D, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll sometimes post additional ways you can get stickers on socials as well. I'm also going to link some more resources for low-cost and free mental health clinics in the show notes. Those are going to be Open Path, Psychotherapy Collective, and Needy Meds. So I'll have those links, so please explore that if you're feeling like you could really use some help, but you're not sure if you have the resources. I really encourage you to visit American Psychoanalytic Institute, Open Path Psychotherapy Collective, or Needy Meds. Well, that is about it for our intro. Thank you for tuning in, and now on to episode 85.
So, Ghosts of You is track 6 on the Chronicles of Life and Death, Good Charlotte's third album released in 2004. Track 5 is I Just Want to Live. Track 7 is Predictable. And I was thinking about this track listing, which I think it does come up in some of the album reviews that we're going to read later on. But Ghost of You and Predictable, like they're both two songs about kind of like being left behind in some way, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to me that those two are together, but it's wild going from I Just Want to Live to Ghost of You.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think that this is something that I feel happens with Good Charlotte albums, like the song listing on albums that like they finished, I don't know, maybe a happy song and boom, sad song.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. It's a sad song and boop, the next time.
Right. We've talked about that with hold on, I need to pull up the track listing, but I know we've talked about that with Youth Authority.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the track listing right now because I'm like, okay, so Youth Authority. Yeah, so Youth Authority, it's like you have The Outfield and Cars Full of People, which are very sentimental, right? And then War, which is like very intense, like almost angry sounding. And then Moving On, which is also very sentimental and nostalgic. You're right. They do like to like mix it up with the orders.
Yeah, I know. I think it's on the Young and the Hopeless, like it's super, super sad, and then boom, happy song.
Yeah. Well, right, like Hold On into Riot Girl.
Yes. I was thinking right about that one.
Yeah.
I know, it's funny.
Yeah. So Ghost of You was not a single, but it has been played live. According to setlist.fm, it's ranked number 46 of Good Charlotte's most played songs. And according to setlist.fm, it hasn't been played live since 2005. It looks like they played it around the US, Japan, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. But, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It wasn't like a quote unquote big song from this album. So it's not too surprising to me that it didn't, make the cut for set lists kind of going forward, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird song. It is. And I'm kind of excited to dive into like some of the arrangement and the writing of it with you. Because I feel like as a producer and composer, I feel like you're going to have some cool insight. This song, what I found in my research was that this song was written by Benji and Joel Madden and Billy Martin.
And I feel like it comes as no surprise that Billy was a part of writing this song, because this is such a Billy song. Like, this is so goth.
This is the most Billy song, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is the most Billy song.
Well, like, I know he wrote Where Would We Be Now? And that's like a piano song. But like, I don't know, talking about the ghosts of you, like, just the whole themes of this song are so Billy. Billy really, really got to shine on this album in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't the art direction all his work?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to talk about with Ghost of You, but Simón, I really want to help our guests get to know you. So the first question I like to ask everyone is, when did you first hear Good Charlotte, and what were your first thoughts on them?
I first heard them like randomly changing channels. I'm like, oh, MTV. My cousins watch MTV. Okay, left it there. I have no idea what was playing. And right after that, it was Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And I was, around the 6, 7, 8 years old. I watched it. I was, wow, that's cool. And that's a cool haircut.
Did you go up to your parents like, Mom and Dad, I want my hair like that with the Liberty spikes and the green and the pink?
No, I think my dad came in and he was like, he was saying, what a cool song. What is it? And I'm like, the TV. And he was like, okay, what a weird haircut.
No, Dad, it's cool.
Yeah. And I don't know, he was like, well, okay, my job's done. And went to do whatever he was doing at the moment.
So did your parents become GC fans with you?
Not really, but they do. Mostly my dad.
Your dad,
He does enjoy some GC songs. Not like he will go out of his way and put it on his playlist on Spotify, but when I'm listening to music and at the moment like a GC song comes in, he will like maybe like tap a little bit the drums maybe.
Sure.
It does maybe like the poppier songs.
Okay. So maybe not a song like this. This is not a poppy song, really.
Yeah. I don't think they care much about this one.
That's fair.
But yeah.
Well, I also like to ask my guests, have you ever seen Good Charlotte live?
No. I've never seen it live. And I don't think they have ever been to Colombia. I'm not sure. I've not seen, like, I have tried looking, and I don't know, maybe they did, or
have they played like elsewhere in South America, or do they, like, I know they've done, obviously North America, Europe, Japan, Australia a bunch, but I wasn't sure if they had been to South America.
I mean,
really.
For Latin America, sure, Mexico,
right,
Brazil, and Argentina. Like, those are the go-to places for South America and, well, Latin America in general.
Right.
Like, so
someday.
I really don't know.
When international travel is safe, I'm crossing my fingers for you.
I will be moving soon to Canada, so I hope they start. They release something new, so I can go watch them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know where in Canada you're gonna move, but I do know that they've played the Click live in Toronto like a couple times, I think. Well, Simón, you're our first guest from Colombia, although not our first guest from, Latin America. But I would really love to know, like, does Good Charlotte have a lot of fans in Colombia? Like, are they pretty popular? Or
Not at all.
really?
They never were.
Really?
I mean, they had some radio play for lifestyles. I remember that.
Sure.
I was like, what? They play rock on radio here? What? And I mean it more like I am from Cartagena, and it still isn't a rock friendly place. I don't know if you could call it that. Like, it's very weird. Like, there's only one radio station that plays rock, and that's a college radio
Oh, wow.
station. So that's about it. And this wasn't and I'm trying to remember what station it was, because this was back then, so I don't know.
A long time ago, yeah.
Memory. And yeah, like they were, I know they played Lifestyles and I Just Wanna Live. Those were the two songs that they played on radio here in Cartagena, which is really weird. And yeah, like, there's not a big GC fandom here in Colombia in general. Like, I know there's people like, yeah, they grew up listening to pop punk and all that, and yeah, there's GC, I like these songs, blah blah, but I don't know, there's not a anything.
Gotcha. So it's not like, I mean, as you know, in the US and Canada, Australia, there's like all these groups of GC fans, and we had things like, I think it probably helped that we had things like Warped Tour, where you could just discover all these other bands that sounded, like other pop punk bands. So what kind of music was popular, like, with your peers when you were growing up?
I mean, at the moment, maybe people that are right now in the late 30s and up to late 20s, like myself, there was a lot of pop punk, punk rock in general, a little bit of post-hardcore, and new metal. Like, if you listen to rock and you are about that age range, you listen to that stuff, and also, like, you can add in, I don't know, some grunge and I don't know, the quote unquote classics from the 80s and 90s.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's mainly like whatever it's popular in the US, it came here.
Okay.
And for example, Blink here has always been big. It's always been big with rock fans, because all, like, I'm not really a fan of any pop punk bands here from Colombia.
Really?
Because I'm not a big fan of Blink.
Really?
So,
a Blink fan? Oh my god.
Yeah. I'm not really
I
a big
feel
fan
like we
of
might
Blink,
have talked about that.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I know we've talked on Instagram a bunch about music.
Yeah. And most bands sounded like Blink, so I'm like,
I don't like Blink, so why would I like this band that sounds like Blink?
yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, just to switch tracks a little, I would just love to hear about your academic training, music college and training as a composer and teaching yourself to be a producer. Like, what came first from that world? Was it like the teaching yourself to be a producer, or did you kind of go to music college first? How did that come?
Yeah, I went to music college first. I started with cello, like that's my main instrument. I play cello, but I don't enjoy much being in the classical, quote unquote, classical music world. I've never enjoyed, like, I can enjoy listening to something. Very rarely I enjoy it listening, but I much rather like play or listen to jazz, rock, and that stuff. So I went that way with all my instruments, and yeah, I decided that I wanted to go through like, I know, like you will say, like specialize in arrangement and composing, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went that way because I have congenital amusia, which the easiest way to play it is I'm colorblind, but for your ears,
So
something like that.
does that mean like does that mean like if you hear a note, like if you hear a note, you don't know, like you can't tell one note from the other, kind of? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, it's weird because like if you just play a note, only if it's a D, I can like say, okay, that's a D. But any other note without another reference, I'm like, nice note.
Okay.
Yeah, but and also like, yeah, intervals between notes, like the
scales.
Yeah, like you play two notes at the same time. I'm like, do you play again? And also like recognizing chords, like if it's a major or minor or blah, 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 like all the different kind of chords. It takes me a while. Like you have to play it and keep it there for me, like to be da, 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 da. Okay, yeah. But yeah, like going to college, like there's a class I had which was ear training that helped me a lot with my congenital amusia.
Really? Okay.
So now it's not that slow for me to get what chord it is. I still suck at playing things by ear because of it.
Sure.
But yeah.
It sounds like whereas someone with, I guess, perfect pitch can automatically identify like any note, you're kind of on a different end of that spectrum where it's a lot more challenging, which I can imagine made, some of, I'm sure some of what you studied in music college, I'm sure that must have been difficult, but it sounds like ear training kind of has, while it obviously it doesn't erase, anything going on, but the ear training, it sounds like helped you learn how to identify notes and intervals.
And also I started playing bass like just to start focusing on the lower notes, because that helps a lot with identifying chords.
Okay.
Like going to the lower note, so I started playing bass, and that also helped me a lot. And also I started taking vocal lessons in college, and that also helped because I had to use my body myself to make music. So that also helped me like to be aware of pitch differences. Yeah.
I never would have like even thought of that, but as you're explaining that makes a lot of sense why that could really just help your awareness.
Yeah. So that all those things that help me, but it's something that's always there. So
sure.
When people are like, okay, let's jam, and I'm like, oh fuck no. Yeah, because I mean, that's why I went the composer arranger route, because I'm not like, with this I have difficulty like playing.
Okay.
Like just jamming, it's a hard time. And in general, like starting to learn a song, it's slow. It starts slow, but yeah, it goes better exponentially.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for, kind of sharing some of your experiences there. I really loved hearing about, how you, made it work and really learned to excel in music college. I would love to dive into Ghost of You now.
Let's go.
So let's do it. So, I mean, Simón, we connected. I don't know if it was like 2021 or if it was even back in 2020, but I know that we've, chatted just here and there on Instagram for a while.
Yeah.
And you were a part of the Hold On episodes, and I'm so excited to finally have you on for a full episode. Why did you want to talk about Ghost of You?
Well, it's a weird song. That's why I chose it. Like, I like weird music. This is not weird music, but for GC, it's weird music.
What makes you say that?
First of all, the instrumentation, like the choices for, even if it's sampled instruments, like played on keyboards or just programmed on whatever DAW they use to record the song, it's odd. Like it's weird, like having church organs and the weird flute for the intro, which I've been listening to on a loop, trying to find what instrument it is. Like, it's some kind of flute, yeah.
But is it actually a flute? And this is like something I had written down. Like, when I was 13 and this album came out, I was positive it was a real flute. But as I listen now, like, I'm not sure if it's an actual flute or if it was like a synthesizer with that kind of tone. I
think they sampled it. Like blowing on a bottle. That's
okay.
That's what it sounds to me. Like they sampled it and put it on the keyboard and played it. That's what I think.
Okay. That sounds.
As a producer, I think that's what they did. I'm not sure what they did.
That sounds like something I feel like Billy would come up with for sure.
Billy song.
Yeah, exactly. It's a goth song with some interesting like synthesizer samples. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's definitely a weird song. I mean, we'll go into like the lyrics and the interpretation in a bit, but in terms of like the instrumentation and everything, a couple other things I noted were, I actually didn't even have this in my notes, but there's some percussion effect that there's like clapping. I don't know if it's clapping or if it's just you know what I'm talking about? It's like,
yeah, right with the snare.
Yeah.
Oh no, the clap. Okay. Yeah. But also with the snare, there's like I know, like they have the snare, but it triggers also a clap and a tambourine, maybe something like that. Like with the snare, there's this I don't know, kind of like sound with the snare.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. But also the claps, like it also like puts me off because it's a sad song, but
then you have these they claps.
They finish a phrase and I don't know. I usually have that clap thing associated with, I don't know, like American oldies. Like I'm not sure what style it is, but like what I don't know you will call grandpa music, maybe.
Okay.
Great grandpa music, something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, for me it's like okay, but it works.
Yeah, no, it totally works. It is the kind of thing that, like, taken out of context, the claps, that sounds like something that you wouldn't think would belong in this song, but in the context of this song, like, it sounds natural. I think it really works. The other thing I had noted in terms of like arrangement was the vocals on this song, specifically in the bridge of this song. When he says, and I'm not looking for anything but us, anything but what we were, and I'm not asking for painted memories. I only want to know you're here. And he holds that last note, the here, he holds that for a while. It almost sounds to me like you know, he's like at the end of a long hallway and he's singing. And I'm so curious how that was recorded. Like, did they record that in a special type of room to get the right like echoes and everything? Or was that effects that were added after? Or was it like a certain thing on the microphone? Like, but that, I feel like that adds such a value to that song, the way the vocals sound in that bridge.
Do we know where it was recorded? Like
the
album in general or this song in specific?
I think let me like look up real quick. But I think this was also recorded with Eric Valentine at Barefoot Studios in Los Angeles. But let me check. Yeah, it was recorded at Barefoot Studios in Hollywood, California, with Eric Valentine, which Eric Valentine also produced Young and the Hopeless. And I believe that was also recorded at Barefoot Studios.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, you could do it either way. Like,
yeah,
I've seen enough, like, band documentaries in recording studios or when they're recording albums, like going to big warehouses or I don't know, like a mansion that
or
working
like
as a studio
to hear the echoes,
or a church, and use the natural reverb of the place.
Yes,
but you could also do it with like plugins, or in the studio they have a reverb room to make it. Okay. But I don't know. I think like in this case it was, I don't know, if not in place, and maybe it was in the vocal booth, and after that just processing.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's talk about like some of the lyrics with this song. Did you have like a favorite line from Ghost of You?
Not particularly. Like, there's nothing like with the lyrics that I'm like crazy about. It's, I mean, it makes me think like, what are they really talking about? Like, there's nothing like there that has me like, oh, right to my heart.
Gotcha. I will say, I know I mentioned this in terms of the vocal effects, but the line in the bridge where he says, "I only want to know you're here," like that, that just gets me every time. Well, I want to talk about like what this song is about, you know, what our kind of interpretations are. So what do you think this song is about?
Yeah, for this, I had a little help from a friend.
Okay.
Almost family for me. Like when you tell me, okay, let's do this. Let's record a podcast for Ghost of You. I immediately hit up a almost cousin.
Okay.
I said, hey, I'm gonna do this. He's one of the few people I know that likes GC. So I was like, hey, I need your help. I'm gonna do a podcast on this GC song. And he's like, oh yeah, the full intro. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was, And I don't know, we were debating it for hours, like what it really was. We never reached a conclusion, but we think like it's either like taking it like literally, like they try to build a story for the song, like nothing special, like just the story of someone that lost their loved one and they made the story for the song and made the lyrics, or if it was all, I don't like allegorical. Like the ghost of you is the the memory of a relationship with someone. Like those are the two things that we conclude. Like it's either that or that. Like there's no other way to put it.
Well, I will say, so when we read some of these comments from fans a little later on, there's one other thing we're going to bring up, one other interpretation that actually no, there's two other interpretations kind of that I found from fans that I'm really eager to dive into, but we're going to hold off on those. But I will say, like just like you, like the two main ones that stuck out to me were like, it's either about like death or a breakup. Like is is this a person who died or someone that they've broken up with? I feel like my instinct is kind of like, he says, save this empty space next to me like it's a grave. To me, I interpret that as like he's using death and loss and grief as an allegory or a metaphor for how painful the breakup is, versus no, I want to be like buried in a grave with you. But yeah, I think it's, just whatever the interpretation is or whatever it's about, I think it's very clearly about just like missing someone and feeling kind of haunted by the memories and the fact that they're not coming back. Yeah.
Like in general, that's his rave about it.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, like there's a lot of like metaphors about death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe they did it or Billy did it because goth. It's the golden age of emo stuff and being a little edgy with lyrics. So I don't know. I think it's the breakup thing. Like it's a breakup, and I don't know, the character here in the lyrics is being a little dramatic.
A little, just a little.
Just a little bit, just a smidge.
He's definitely being dramatic, and as you think about like genre of the song, I feel like this is such an interesting one to discuss because it's like, well, like, is it pop punk? Is it goth? Is it emo? Like, there was a review. I don't think I have this included in the notes, but Billboard did a review of this album, like in the print magazine, and they called it new wave. So I'm like, I don't know, like it definitely has a lot of goth influences, but like, I don't know, can we say that a song is goth? Like, is goth a genre of music? What do you think?
I mean, if you say just goth, maybe not, but if you say, goth rock or goth metal, like then it makes sense. But here, I think it's taken from like a lot of places. Like I would say that this song is a little gothy with the instrumentation, like having all the organs to add drama to it, like to the sound. Like if you have organs, this like it helps you bring a little goth spice to the music. And I don't know, like also, I don't know, they say new wave. It kind of makes sense, like going, like kind of like The Cure or I don't know what are bands in that style, and those Sushi and the Banshees,
the Smiths, which we all know Joel Madden is a big Morrissey fan, so
like stuff like maybe like, I think in this case you will call it like stuff like post punk, maybe like early post punk.
Okay. Yeah, I like your comparison to like the Cure, the Smiths, because you know the Cure definitely I get sort of like a goth vibe, but also like a very emotional vibe. So I think that's definitely a fitting comparison. In terms of comparisons, I would say like I don't think, and I'm curious what you think. There's not really any other songs that I think of when I think of this, like by other artists. But I do feel like we have to mention that around this time, I think in 2003, My Chemical Romance also had a song called The Ghost of You. I don't think the two songs really sound like at all alike, other than they're, you know, have similar themes, but I don't think they really sound alike. But similar themes, same title. A lot of people liked both of those bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another, we have a little quote about the My Chemical Romance song that's coming a little later, and I think it's very fun. In terms of backstory, I tried to find interviews where they talked about, you know, this song or what inspired it. I couldn't really find anything. But we do have a lot of reviews coming up. So I'm excited to read the reviews because they're pretty fun. Simón, do you have any memories or stories that you want to share about Ghost of You?
Well, when I first heard the song, like I heard the flute intro, and I had a flute nearby. I think it was my sister's when she was starting elementary school, because I don't know if it's in the US they also do it, but when you're in elementary school or in kindergarten, like they make you play the recorder.
Yeah, yep. I think 3rd grade we had to learn recorder. That was mandatory.
Okay, at least here in Colombia, back in my days, you'll play the recorder up to 5th grade.
Okay.
No, not sure why, but I don't know. 1st grade to 5th grade, you're playing the recorder. Not sure why, but they did it. And I don't know. I had my sister's recorder like by my side at the moment, and I tried to play it by ear.
Yes.
I think that's the only time I've been successful at playing something by ear.
Oh my god. I have a similar story, which is that I played the flute from like 4th through 7th grade. And so I was in 8th grade when this album came out, and I wasn't like really playing anymore, but just, you know, once in a while, but I wasn't like in the school band anymore. And I just think of like trying to play the intro to this on my flute. And like, I think I like looked up the sheet music or, you know, the guitar tab to like try to figure out what notes it was, and like spent a while, you know, trying to just play by ear and figure out the notes. And I don't think I got it, but I had a lot of fun trying.
It's always fun, like when you are just like, okay, I'm gonna try play this and try, like challenge yourself to do something by ear. It's always fun.
Yeah.
It takes me a while, but it's always fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned My Chemical Romance, Ghost of You.
Yeah.
And funny story is when I'm not sure which one came out first.
My Chemical Romance came out first because that album came out in 2003, and this one came out in 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was listening to 3 Tears for Sweet Revenge. Okay, good. Like Ghost of You, very emotional, very strong song.
Yeah.
And I think I got Chronicles of Life and Death. My dad gifted to me. I think.
Oh, my dad also bought Chronicles for me.
Yeah, my dad came from a business trip, and yeah, here, I know you like Good Charlotte, so here you have. And that was my first GC album that I had physically, I was like, this is my treasure.
Yeah.
At the moment, GC was like my favorite band. And I was like, my treasure, my precious.
Yeah.
and yeah, I started listening, and I wouldn't I had a sheet covering the song names, and first song, go, boom, and okay, that's the name of the song. Okay, next song, and I will uncover with each song I will uncover the song name, and then I hear the flute. Okay, next song, Those of You. What? Is this a cover? Is GC covering
right.
MCR? I was like, okay, let's listen. And I'm like, listening to the flute, listening to the whole intro, and I don't think this is a cover. Okay, let's wait for the lyrics. And boom, in comes the lyrics, and I'm like, okay, this is not the cover. What the hell? Why are they two songs named the same and not the same? I think for me, that's the first time I had something like that, same name, different song. Never happened to me before.
Yeah. I didn't hear My Chemical Romance until after this album came out, but I definitely remember hearing the My Chemical Romance album and being like, wait, what? Like, they have a song with the same name? What? Which is really funny.
Everyone had that reaction.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone had that reaction.
Well, exactly. That's like a lot of people that liked My Chemical Romance around then also were into Good Charlotte around then. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I like to talk about other Good Charlotte songs the track sort of relates to or that have similar themes. I mean, I had a couple written down here, but were there any that come to mind for you?
Well, I'm not sure, any kind of breakup-ish song they have that I will relate to Those of You, but I'm not sure. That's the thing I have, that I don't really listen to the lyrics.
You're very
I don't
into
pay attention to the lyrics,
the arrangement and the production.
Yeah, and that's been something I've always had since forever. I don't pay attention to lyrics ever. The last thing I listen to is lyrics. So I don't know. I don't have a lyrical connection. Those of You with any other GC song, but yeah, I would say any breakup-y song.
Yeah,
I think I will relate. Musically, none. I know.
I feel like, to me, the two that specifically came to mind were Emotionless, which, talks about this pain of being left behind, someone has left, and how much that hurts. And then Stray Dogs, which is kind of I don't want you to leave me behind. Please don't leave me behind. I'm a stray dog without you. Don't leave me behind.
Was Stray Dogs also a Billy song? Because I
don't think so. I think Stray Dogs was one of the twins, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure who kind of wrote the lyrics for that off the top of my head.
Okay, it's a weird metaphor. I feel like a stray dog. I don't know. Yeah, weird.
I think it's what we came up with in that album, or in that episode, with Isabella Aruda, who just really, really, really sweet, lovely girl. What we kind of came up with was that it being a stray dog is just feeling like someone has just tossed you aside, and just feeling alone and without a home. And how that relates to that song is if your partner leaves you, you will feel like they've just tossed you aside and you don't have a home, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know.
Yeah. It is definitely an interesting metaphor. Well, let's talk about some of the reviews for this song, because some of the reviews for this song were, I don't know, I had a lot of fun reading them. Rolling Stone gave the album a 2 out of 5 and said, Jesus. It seems they had too big a recording budget at their disposal. Those straight-ahead rockers, such as SOS and Walk Away, pack greater emotional wallop than Good Charlotte's previous bubblegum punk. The Madden Twins and Co. junk up several songs with unnecessary flourishes, such as the string parts on Predictable or the New Order-ish synths on Ghost of You. Somewhere underneath all the slick production, a handful of truly great gut punch melodies fight their way to the surface.
Okay.
Which is like, that's like, so they're basically saying that like all of the stuff that you know, both you and I have noted as really making this song great, like the synths and the organs, the flute and the effects, they're saying, no, bad, make it simple.
Yeah. I'm looking at what New Order is, because the name doesn't ring a bell.
Mm-hmm.
And seems like it's like a continuation of Joy Division.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a continuation of Joy Division. So, okay, now yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comparison. Stylist magazine gave the album a 6 out of 10 or a B-. Like they kind of gave it both. They said they've swapped The Clash and Minor Threat for The Cure and Morrissey, which we were just talking about. Defiant cultural commentary for morose internal reflection. This isn't entirely unrewarding. Moody anthems like Ghost of You and The World is Black are as memorable and dreamily melodic as songs from Vauxhall and Disintegration, respectively, only with more aggressive arrangements.
Okay.
Yeah. Space City Rock. I have to say, like, I pulled up this review from Space City Rock just as I was like searching, like Googling Good Charlotte, Ghost of You album reviews. And like my boyfriend was in the room and I was like, oh my God, Jonathan, I just found this review that's mean. It's like a pretty mean review, but it's like kind of funny how it's written. I got a kick out of this one for sure. So Space City Rock said, sadly, the genre jumping doesn't always work so well. The following track, Ghost of You, incorporates some distracting synths that make what would otherwise be a decent song sound like one of those cheesily dramatic, melancholy 80s synth pop tunes. And generally, that ain't someplace you want to be. Think When in Rome's The Promise and you'll be close. But I feel like Joel was like, they were like very much intensely going for like dramatic, melancholy 80s synth pop tunes, like, you know, Morrissey and The Cure and everything. I feel like that was definitely like exactly what they were trying to do.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's really funny. And, you know, like, in a way, like, I'm into this review because in general, I don't like 80s music. Like, in general, 80s music I don't like, especially like post-punk and like all that The Cure, like Joy Division, like that kind of stuff, post-punk stuff I'm not into. But I do like when stuff has elements from post-punk.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I kind of like, that will be me, but meaner.
Right. Well, they're saying that like, oh, they're making some observations about the song, and then they're deciding that those observations are bad.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Entertainment Weekly, who gave it a B+. modest moshers are only a fraction of their repertoire now. Instead, they're a surprisingly awesome and diverse modern rock act capable of aching new wave sob stories, Ghost of You, mopey emo, Secrets, and lots of angst-ridden suburban. I'm sorry, I'm like, I can't read this without laughing. And lots of angst-ridden suburban. And lots of angst-ridden suburban breakup punk, aided by the fact that lead yelper Joel Madden always sounds as if someone just ran over his dog.
Okay, this is the most creative description I have for.
Right.
What?
There was a review from E! Online that was quoted on Metacritic, but the link to the actual review was broken. So take with this what you will. Because I don't have the actual like official link. I just have like what Metacritic. I don't know if you're familiar, but they like aggregate reviews from all different websites and kind of determine, okay, these 5 websites gave a very positive review. 3 websites gave it a very negative review. 6 websites gave it a neutral review and kind of give it like an overall score. So it's definitely helpful in research because I can kind of just easily pull like positive and negative reviews of the albums. So this is from E! Online. They said, pulling off the tricky balancing act of aiming for mainstream success while keeping one's street cred intact, songs like Ghost of You and Predictable abandon the band's mall rat roots in exchange for more mature influences like U2 and Muse.
Mall rat. Okay.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I agree on the U2 part, not on the Muse side.
Yeah, I don't agree on Muse either. I will say, I think Billy talked about some Muse song being an influence for Where Would We Be Now? But like Joel has even said that like U2 was an influence for, I think, like We Believe, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I will say like, definitely because my dad is a big U2 fan. I actually went with my dad for the Joshua Tree, like the, anniversary.
Okay.
I think they had a few years ago. Like we went to concert here in Colombia, in Bogota.
Wow.
And we experienced that together. And my dad is a big U2 fan. And one of his favorite GC songs is, We Believe.
There we go. There we go.
Because, U2.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to remember, I don't remember where this interview was, but like we had in the notes for that episode on We Believe, like Joel even literally said that like he was trying to write like his version of a U2 song, basically. I think that was it. Well, next up, we have a little quote from Plugged In, which is the like entertainment site from Focus on the Family. So they're, we've talked about them before, but to anyone who doesn't remember, basically Plugged In is a website that kind of evaluates entertainment from books, movies, TV shows, music, and kind of decides if it's like
family friendly or not.
Well, family friendly and specifically if it's like appropriate for good Christian children. So, and anything that's like talks about like not believing in God or something, or being angry at God, usually they don't like. So they cited this song under objectionable content. So basically anything that's like bad, it's not appropriate. They said the singer misses a waking with his lover, which I don't really know what's objectionable about that unless they're saying that like it's not okay to talk about missing someone, or if they're saying that like, I mean, this is maybe a stretch, but a lot of people that are very religious, which Plugged In is a very religious website. A lot of people that are very religious, would say you shouldn't share a bed with someone until you're married. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the angle here. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what they found objectionable about missing waking up next to your lover.
I mean, like, if we're talking like very conservative religious people,
Yeah.
I mean, they say lover and not partner or fiance or I don't know,
Wife,
husband, wife, whatever. Just lover.
Lover
Maybe
sounds
that's the
scandalous.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They also like I really like mild profanities mar several tunes. Like, are there profanities in the song?
Yeah, I don't think there's any profanities in this song. Like, I'm looking at the lyrics right now. Yeah, no profanities in this song anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah. Well, next piece we're going to quote is this is a piece that I've mentioned a bunch of times on the show before. And I really encourage everyone to just go read this. It's wonderful. It's from medium.com. It's an article called Good Charlotte Revival, The Chronicles of a Young and Hopeless Love Affair by Gwara Shakar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's just a woman talking about, her experience as a GC fan growing up. So it's really, really, really nice read. And I read the whole thing and I was like, there's just so many like little bits in there that I'm like, I get this. I understand this. And she says, Jennifer is obsessed with My Chemical Romance. We devise a nightmarish mashup of two very different songs called The Ghost of You. The next article I want to mention, it's not an album review and it's not even mostly about Ghost of You, but it's just like so funny because so this is from the Post Gazette in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They reviewed a show at the A.J. Palumbo Center. And I just want to preface this by saying it's like very clear to me that like this person isn't like the target audience for Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
And maybe this person isn't even like, I'm like, if you like, I don't know. I'll add more commentary in a second, but they said, I'm probably going to laugh at this one too. A kid-friendly and likable bunch. Good Charlotte set about reproducing straightforward versions of perky songs like SOS and Chronicles of Life and Death. But the villain in this horror show was the sound man, who had the bass and drums cranked so incredibly loud, they just crushed the guitars and vocals. This comes at a time when Good Charlotte was trying to add nuance with the Cure-like keyboard touches on The World is Black and Ghost of You. And then later on they say, maybe the next time Good Charlotte comes through, the band will bump up to an arena or stadium that can handle its need for sound. It's one thing to feel the music. It's another thing to feel it rattle your bones. Yeah.
I'm just picturing this guy getting in on the back end of the crowd and being like, yeah, there's not enough blues on this music.
I'm just like,
I know.
Maybe you should have worn earplugs.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you should have worn earplugs. Yeah, I mean, I wear earplugs to every concert. And hey, by the way, PSA to everyone, if you're going to concerts right now, if it's safe where you are to go to concerts, wear earplugs. Wear earplugs. Wear earplugs. Yeah.
And a face mask, please.
Oh, and a face mask. Yes, of course. And if you can, test for COVID before you go. Most, websites are making it pretty easy to offer, refunds or change tickets just due to the situation.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for helping with that little PSA. Well, I want to read some YouTube comments. Some of these are pretty intense. And I want to say, we're going to read some where people have talked about their own experiences. And I don't say anything like this to make fun of everyone, to make fun of anyone ever. But I think, you know, there's some humor, I think, to be found in like how frank some people are in like a YouTube comment. Especially because like these are all like old and, you know, several years ago. And I certainly know that there's like things that I like wrote on MySpace when I was like 13, you know, like when this album came out, there was like stuff I wrote on MySpace that if I looked at now, I'd be like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, that's so embarrassing.
Absolute cringe.
So yeah, I guess I am kind of making fun of it a little bit, but I do want to say, of course, anyone who's shared experiences, like, look, your experiences are valid, but some of these are just intense. So I want to read them. We'll start off with Tashina Dewey, who said, I cannot believe I remember all the words after years. I wish they still sang this way. And to preface, I'm about to read one. I'm about to read two that are pretty intense. And I want to say, like, I share these to also, like, I think help add different perspectives to how we interpret and discuss the song. Because when people say, I relate to this song for this reason, that can give like another way to understand the song, I think. Gigi T. Brooks said, ugh, bring back so many memories. One of my best friends who I had a crush on died when I was 15, just when we were starting to get closer. This song reminds me of her.
Okay, that changes everything. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Right. I totally get how that could, that situation, you could relate to this song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death by Irony said, I'm not even gonna read this whole thing, but they said, to my ex-boyfriend, you don't love me anymore, but I still love you. I miss you every fucking day. I don't know why I wasn't good enough for you. Now all I have is a ghost of you, and I wish you'd come back. And I think that's, you know, as we talked about, that this song might be about a breakup. I mean, yeah, like someone who's going through a breakup like that, I think could really relate to this.
Yeah, and it was a bad breakup. Like, what the lyrics make me think is like it was a real good relationship. Something happened, and the breakup was really bad, and now, yeah,
there was
that person is hurt, very hurt.
There was some, I'll mention this before we go back to some YouTube comments, but there was a thread, I linked this later in the notes, but there was a thread on Reddit about Good Charlotte songs about depression. And someone mentioned this song. And I feel like that I don't know why I hadn't thought of it in that light, but I think that's an interesting idea because, you know, of course, like not everyone who goes through a breakup experiences, you know, clinical depression, but the pain that the narrator of this song is experiencing and expressing in the lyrics, like that's like something's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm guessing like this person, when they wrote it, they were, maybe 16 if they were really old.
Right.
So, yeah, like it will make sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, being a teenager, dramatic.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm going to read two more YouTube comments, and then we'll move on to some comments from song meetings.
Okay.
Ross Stewart said, I always found it weird how they brought out two happy-go-lucky punk music, and then they brought out an album that isn't really a happy album. Always wondered why. You would think people will become more happy as they became more successful. Either they had their reasons or they were following the trend, which was the beginning of the emo era. Guess I'll never know. I have a little insight into this, actually, because I remember from some interviews talking about Chronicles, and not so much the interviews when Chronicles came out, but like more of the retrospective stuff, they, with both The Young and the Hopeless and Chronicles, Joel has talked about like with The Young and the Hopeless, like they're after the self-titled, their label wanted them to put out something like even more poppy, and they were like, no, let's do something angsty. And then they did The Young and the Hopeless, and the label wanted them to put out something like poppy again, and they were like, no. And it was kind of like an FU to do this like angry album. and you know, I know he, you know, there's a song like The Truth, for example, which is another like breakup song on this album, right? So, you know, clearly there seems to be some things that were going on, but I do find a little humor in the fact that they were like, no, we don't want to do a happy album. Let's do like a sad album. The final.
Okay, can I make a little like parenthesis there?
Yes.
You just mentioned The Truth, and I just remembered I was watching I forgot the name. The GC documentary while they are in Japan.
Fast Future Generation.
Fast Future Generation. Thank you. There's a little moment, like I think Benji was it Benji? I think it was Benji. Wasn't noticing someone filming him, and he was playing The Truth on guitar and like by himself, like, and I don't know, like it gave it a different feel.
Yeah.
Like playing it on guitar, like I was like, why didn't they do it on guitar? It works better. Yeah.
Wow. I need to go back and watch that again. I have the DVD.
Yeah, same. That DVD, I think I got to enjoy it more now as an adult, because I got it and I was still a teen. I was expecting, I don't know, a concert. I had no idea. Like when I saw it, I said, "Ooh, Good Charlotte."
Yeah.
And I had no idea it was a documentary. And at the moment, I didn't care about the documentaries at all. So I was like, nah, boring, no concert, bye.
Yeah.
And recently I grabbed it and was like, okay, let's watch it. And I like, no, this is cool.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, the last YouTube comment I'm going to read is, I just think it's perfect. Mpolo18 said, Bella Swan's theme from New Moon. So, Simón, are you familiar with the Twilight series? Like, do you know what happens in New Moon?
I don't know. I just know the name of the books and the movies, but
so
I'm not.
In New Moon, I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but New Moon has been out for a long time. So, you know, if you don't want me to spoil New Moon, then anyone listening can skip ahead like a minute or so. In New Moon, Edward leaves and he's gone for months. And Bella is just like sad and depressed and lonely, like constantly. And there's like a page of the book that's like, you know, it's like January. It just says January on the page, February, March. And like in the movie, there's like a montage of her just like sad and depressed and staring out the window. So I do think that this song actually really does fit, you know, Bella Swan in New
perfectly.
Moon. It works perfectly.
I'm just picturing the actress. I forgot her name. I'm just picturing her actress.
Kristen Stewart, yeah.
Kristen Stewart, yeah. Looking for the window. A ghost of you playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it would be perfect. So I want to talk about songmeetings.com. So some of the kind of themes I found in the comments on the song meetings were two things. Did Billy write the song, or did Benji and Joel co-write it with Billy? And the really low singing at the very end of the song, is that Benji or Billy? Or Joel?
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. What do you think?
I was going to mention that.
Who is it?
I'm not sure which one is it, but I was going to mention, like, I think this is the lowest singing I've heard on Good Charlotte. I can't think of any song going that low.
Yeah.
I mean, they are singing it like whispered, like close to the microphone. So
yeah.
Because it's so airy, it sounds a little higher than it really is, but it's really low.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, that the airiness of it. Well, the airiness of that last line almost adds to the like ghost and haunted feeling, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's something to ponder, listeners. You know, who was it that sings at the very end of this song?
I don't know. I mean, you're the better one at saying if it's Benji or Joe.
It sounds like in the lines like before, I think I definitely hear Benji in like the last chorus. Like a ghost of you is all that I have left of you to hold. Benji has like a raspiness to his voice that Joel doesn't really have. So I hear Benji very clearly there. But then the last two lines, I wake in the night to find there's no one there but me and nothing left of what we were at all. That might be Benji. I think it's Benji. Benji. I think he just like really went low into his register. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't think I have ever heard Billy's voice.
Yeah.
Either singing or speaking. I don't know his voice, so can't say if it's him or not.
Yeah. Well, let's read some comments from song meanings. Because there's a few like interpretations here that people have that I think are pretty intriguing. A user by the name of Broken says, where it says, and nothing left of what we were at all, it makes me think it's about a split couple, and the bits about ghosts I don't think are literal. And then Chemical Addiction said, I think it means that he's thinking of a past loved one, and seeing all the pictures make him think the person is still there inside the walls of the home and his mind. Now, here's one I hadn't thought of. And again, I want to preface this by saying I never want to get to a place on this show where we're like, like which specific person was a song written about and what was the exact situation in their personal life and that led to a song. I don't really think that's fair. And I don't want to feel like that's what we're doing. I do think this is an interesting interpretation because it's just another way of interpreting the things that are expressed here, the emotions that are in the song. And it's just like a different interpretation of some of that than I think a lot of people initially took from the song. So GC Guitar Freak 27 said, I think this song might be about Benji and Joel's dad, because while it's about someone leaving and the line that says, nothing left of what we were at all, I think that might be about how their family was ruined by it and it wasn't the same after he left. Just a thought, I could be wrong, but I think it makes more sense than a breakup.
Yeah.
So
I think it will make sense.
Yeah, it could be, and I mean, who knows, and I don't think it necessarily matters like who the song was written about, but whether it was like their dad or like a former girlfriend or whoever. But I think that's an interesting interpretation. And I think in a lot of ways, like it's easy to assume that like every song is like about a romantic situation, but it isn't necessarily, right? Like you can express emotions and you can have emotions about like relationships and people that aren't necessarily like romantic.
Yeah.
The last thing from songmeanings.com that I'm going to read is from Calier. I don't really know how to say that. They said, I think this song could be about someone dying or breaking up, but I think it's also like someone, one of his friends, becoming a ghost of their former selves for whatever reason, grief, drugs, abuse, etc. I've had that happen to me. One of my close friends seemed to almost waste away. Turns out she was in an abusive situation and she got help, but it still scared the hell out of us.
Okay, that's a twist and makes a lot of sense.
Right? I never took that interpretation, but I think that also makes a lot of sense. And I think there's some element of like, if you've been in that situation, well, that's what you're going to take from the song, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool how people have just so many different interpretations of what's going on here. But it all, you know, it all relates to essentially the pain of losing someone, in whatever way that loss is.
Yeah, I mean, here it makes a lot of sense, like losing connection with someone because of something.
Yeah.
But I have a kind of a similar situation right now. Mm-hmm. A friend, she has a little, she's obsessive with having good grades. She studies medicine.
Okay.
And yeah, she will disappear for months and months because she will be like stuck with books, studying, and yeah, like kind of like she's obsessed with having good grades, like having a 4.5 out of 5. Wow. For her is like, I failed, and she beats herself up because I didn't get close enough to 5. Oh, and she also like she also has like some personal stuff like that goes on, and yeah, she will like for months and months and months on end, she will not appear like at all.
That's so tough.
I know, yeah, like, and it's kind of weird because you try to reach and nothing. Like, yeah. I don't want to use I don't want to say like she's ghosting everyone, because I don't know. I think I don't like that a term like ghosting people.
Well, it sounds like intentional, and it like what you're saying. It doesn't sound like your friend is like intentionally trying to leave anyone behind. Like,
yeah,
she just is kind of wrapped up in everything she has going on, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I don't like. I think there will be now. I want to think that that's what the song is really about. Like someone, because of a situation, like they've lost connection with this person, and that's what the song is about.
Yeah,
I want to think that's.
I like that interpretation a lot.
Yeah, and
it's almost more powerful to me than like, oh, it's about like his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, it makes the song a little bit less cliche with the lyrics.
Yes,
maybe.
absolutely. Well, last thing I want to do before we wrap things up, Simón, I want to read just real quick a couple customer reviews from Amazon.com. Some of these are kind of funny. So Zoe, her review was titled "Good Charlotte's Mature Side." She gave the album 5 out of 5, and she gave this song 3 out of 5. She said, "I've come to like this song a lot. The words are absolutely beautiful. They're very poetic. The tune is sort of creepy, but it grows on you." P. Woods, their review was titled "Different but Still Brilliant." Also gave it 5 out of 5 and gave this song 9 out of 10. Said, "It sounds dark, but it's quite fun and a light song. Strong use of keyboards in the chorus." Greg said, "Finally, a fair and even-handed review." Gave it 4 out of 5 and said, "Ghost of You incorporates Euro disco synth and a horror movie organ." And then my favorite review here was Jay Hahn, who's like the headline of their review was just "Good Charlotte?" ? They gave this song a 3 and said, "Dark and haunting, not real good." Okay. Okay, sorry. I cracked up over that one too. Well, Simón, this has been wonderful. How has Ghost of You held up for you over time?
Over time, I think I enjoy it better now than back then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not sure why. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe because there's a lot of like nice arrangement stuff sprinkled over the song that now that I studied music and understand things much better, I appreciate it much better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like there's a lot of nice details like scattered around.
Yeah.
And yeah, like as a kid or teen, like, yeah, organ, nice. Now I'm like, okay, now this is interesting what they are doing with the organ. Blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
Blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what has Good Charlotte meant to you over the years, and how has that changed?
Okay. When I first heard Good Charlotte, I was like, okay, now they're my favorite. And that stayed like that for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment in my life that I started changing the music I like.
Okay.
It stayed in the realm of rock, but now I wasn't much into like the pop punk or post hardcore side of things, and it started shifting towards heavier music and more weird experimental stuff.
Okay.
But just a couple bands from my childhood remained there. So Good Charlotte remained there, but very rarely I listen to. Yellow Card remained there. What else? Thrice remained there. I'm trying to remember what other bands from my childhood. Okay, AFI has always been there, and I started listening to AFI thanks to some cousins, because they had like the more hardcore albums.
Okay.
Like before Sing the Sorrow, I think it's called. Yeah. Yeah, before they started getting a little more, I don't want to say poppy, but a little more quote unquote mainstream.
Okay.
Like not so harsh.
That makes sense, yeah.
And I can't remember, but yeah, I started listening to much heavier stuff, more weirder stuff, and yeah, Good Charlotte remained there a little bit. And fairly recently, I was like starting to get back to my pop punk roots and my post hardcore roots. And now I'm listening to Good Charlotte like maybe once a week. I play an album. I think like what helped me get back to them was like I had no idea Generation RX existed.
Wow.
I was like, okay, let's see what GC has been up to. And I'm like, oh, new album. I saw the playlist, and I saw Sam Carter, like the guy from Architect,
yeah, Sam Carter.
I was like, oh, okay. And I played it, and I was like, fuck, this is good. And yeah, I started getting back, and I found Generation GEC.
Yeah, and here you are.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, Simón, do you have any last words about Ghost of You, about Good Charlotte, or about yourself?
No, not really. I think I have already said everything I have about the song and Good Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I only hope they come up with something new so they start touring and I can see them live in Canada.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, I have a Generation GC and Friends Spotify playlist. So we include, the song that we talk about. So we'll put Ghost of You. And then I like to do a recommendation from our guests. So can you just give me a song just anything you've been enjoying lately that's not Good Charlotte?
Well, I wanted to give a shout out to Colombian bands, but like something like in the realm near GC, but I don't know, like they don't quite make it. Like they're they're lacking something. So I'm not gonna go that way.
Okay.
And just for fun, let's have My Chemical Romance, Ghost of You.
Perfect. Great choice. So great choice. Can't go wrong. So I also like to ask my guests for a charity or organization that they believe in so we can encourage listeners to donate or support. What's a charity that you would like people listening to this to support?
Well, not any charity in particular, but anything aiding people of special needs, like financial, like people that are having, low income people having mental health support. That I will definitely point towards too. Yeah,
I think that's a great cause, and like I can certainly speak of in the US that, the healthcare marketplace makes it so that you can get insurance even if your job doesn't provide it. But, I get insurance through the marketplace, and the costs of especially of mental health care and like assessment for mental health care and medications, like it can definitely add up. And, if you're a low income person and you don't have insurance, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up. I think that's great. I will, I'll look around. I'll see if there's like a specific, organization that we can encourage people to donate to, or just any resources we can find just to share with, anyone listening who is low income and who, needs some mental health treatment. I think that's great. So really, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, Simón, thank you so much for coming on. What is your social media like? Where can people find you online?
Well, right now the only social media I use is Instagram. Like I decided to close Facebook and Twitter and all that because I didn't use them. So you can find me at Simón.Trespalacios, but the tres like number 3, and my name's Simón with an X because.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm not doing much musically right now. I have some stuff there, but yeah, it's more like ambient music, experimental stuff. Like, and I only have one track out there.
Okay.
So yeah, I share it to you, Molly, and I don't know, put up links on the description.
Yeah. Perfect. Simón, thank you so much for coming on this episode. Last time, at the end of 2021, we talked about Hold On from The Young and the Hopeless. On our next episode, we'll be talking about a song from Good Morning Revival. My name is Molly Hudelson, once again, and as always, I am your host, as well as the producer, creator, and editor of this show. Thank you for tuning in. You can follow Generation GC at Generation GC Pod, POD, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me, Molly, at M Hudelson, MHUDELSON, on Twitter and Instagram. Please make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen, and to check out, follow it for new updates and reviews. And please, if you're on Apple Podcasts, rate it, leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in, and please make sure to spread the word, tell all your friends, and we can make the Generation GC fam even bigger. Talk to you next time.